the media. It would be a battle with the internet. It would be a battle with television. At the outset of these 10 things, let me say here, to develop integrity, know this: integrity does not happen by accident. Integrity will not sneak up on you. Oh, I didn't expect you. No, integrity is something that must be pursued, it must be developed, it must be desired. And part of the one who truly desires integrity, you will discover in their lives they have developed, determined, pure boundaries. They can tell you where they are. They can tell you what they are and where. Develop, secondly, honesty. Verses 5 and 6, he writes in verse 5, "If I have walked with falsehood and my foot has hastened after deceit, let him weigh me with accurate scales and let God know my integrity." In other words, integrity and truth are sisters. They are synonymous. Tell the truth. We live in a world of lies and lying. Be honest in little things and big things. He says, I will be honest. Third, disallow moral compromises. In verses 9 to 11, he candidly talks about resisting the enticement of a married woman. He's spoken earlier of a single woman and how he keeps his eyes pure by not lusting after her. He says here in verse 7 or verse 9, if my heart has been enticed by a woman, if I have lurked at my neighbor's doorway, may my wife belong to another. On the first count, in verse 1, he speaks of someone he's pursuing. And in this account, he's speaking of someone who is pursuing him. He says, I'm not going to lurk by her doorway. I'm not going to leave my business card. I'm not going to give a telephone number away. I'm going to steer clear, is what he's saying. Steer clear. Ladies and gentlemen, especially in this culture where men and women work every day next to each other, there is no such thing as innocent flirting. Don't compromise. Don't make any excuse. Don't say it's nothing. It might be nothing now, but nothings have a way of turning into some things. I have pastored long enough to see marriages destroyed by couples who were involved in the same Bible study. Couples who counseled one another destroyed when partners from both marriages left their spouses for one another. Disallow moral compromises. Don't hang around the door for the wrong reasons. Number 4, integrity defends the disadvantaged. In verses 13 to 15, Job's words can be turned into a positive definition of integrity as one who doesn't take advantage of his power and position to mistreat an employee. Those who worked for Job were treated fairly. And those of you that have people working for you, this will be a mark of integrity, that you defend the disadvantaged. You handle them with kindness and with fairness. Number 5, you distribute to the needy. In the next few verses, verses 16 to 23, Job will describe a person of integrity as one who will distribute to those who need food and clothing. In fact, he is so emphatic that Eliphaz was wrong, that condemned Job for inhospitable treatment of strangers, of turning orphans away, of refusing to help widows, that he says here in verse 21, if I have lifted up my hand against the orphan, because I saw I had support in the gate. In other words, everybody's saying to me, yeah, Job, that'd be the right thing to do. Let my shoulder fall from the socket and my arm be broken off at the elbow. Do you think he's serious about his reputation and testimony of integrity? He says, in other words, if I have mistreated a widow or an orphan, let me be disabled. 6th, a man or a woman of integrity deplores materialism. Verses 24 and 25. Those who put their trust and confidence in gold. He says, that's not me. Number 7, developing integrity demands that you denounce spiritual compromises. Now, in a rather confusing text, verses 26 to 28, he pulls something out of his culture, those pagans of his day who blew kisses toward their shrines. They wanted to be so reverent toward their false gods that if they didn't have time to go and worship, kneel, pray, give food, or whatever, at least when they walked by, they would blow a kiss toward their God. What Job is saying here is, I have not only bowed at the shrine of a false god, I have not only have I not given food to them, not only have I not prayed to them, I haven't even nodded at the shrine. I haven't blown a kiss. I haven't done the politically correct thing, we do today. We talk about all the other faiths. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no other faith but faith in God through Christ. We're not to talk about all those other faiths. They're false. The politically correct, even in the church, blow kisses toward false gods rather than confront and create controversy. Integrity means, number 8, that you display compassion toward the stranger. Verses 29 to 32. Number 9, integrity means you decline hypocrisy in all things. Verse 33, he asks, have I covered my transgressions like Adam? Interesting. I know about Adam, he says. He sinned and tried to cover his nakedness. Have I done that? He assumes the answer is no, he hasn't. And people know he hasn't. He refused to play the hypocrite. He's real and genuine. Number 10, Job effectively says in verses 38 to 40, integrity demands that you deny any excuse for greed. He says, I have determined pure boundaries. I have developed honesty. I have disallowed moral compromise. I have defended the disadvantaged. I am distributing to the needy. I deplore materialism. I denounced any spiritual compromise. I display compassion toward others. I decline hypocrisy, and I deny any excuse for greed. If you didn't notice, and I'm sure you did just unconsciously, Job covers every possible area of life. Stephen Lawson pointed out in his commentary that Job's integrity has affected his stewardship life, his thought life, his ethical life, his home life, his work life, his community life, his financial life, his spiritual life, and his social life. He covers everything. And that's so needed today to understand that integrity is not a little part of your life, it is your life. We have been fed the lie that it's possible to be a person of integrity in public but not in private. That is a lie. A lack of integrity in any area is to lack integrity. Job says, take a good look anywhere in my life. Go through my files. Check my internet sites. Interview my employees. Look at my expense accounts. Sift through my bank records. Look at my giving record at church and other charities. Interview my wife. Talk to my neighbors. Ask my business associates. Talk to my closest friends. Dig away. Just like they do when a man runs for political office. Suddenly things surface. He says, I have nothing to hide. You dig away. Check it all out. You will find that I am a person who wants to be, who would like to be, who must be, who pursues nothing less than true integrity. So Job takes his stand. He will not speak again until God speaks. I wonder, though, as we come to the conclusion of this, will you stand wherever you are? Whatever your culture or context, will you take your stand for integrity, ultimately for the glory of God? Pray as John Wesley prayed, pioneer leader in the Great Awakening. He prayed in the late 1800s this prayer, and I close with this. He said, I am no longer my own but thine. Put me to what thou wilt. Rank me with whom thou wilt. Put me to doing. Put me to suffering. Let me be employed by thee or laid aside by thee, exalted for thee or brought low by thee. Let me be full, let me be empty. Let me have all things, let me have nothing. I freely and heartily yield all things to thy pleasure, O glorious God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thou art mine, and I am thine. Prayer is powerful and prayer is important.
Stephen likes to remind us here at Wisdom for the Heart that our ministry is empowered by your prayers. And Stephen, today the staff actually gathered to pray for our listeners.
Yes, friends, we want you to know that we may not know all of your names, certainly, just a fraction of them, but we prayed for you, and that this ministry would be a blessing and an encouragement to your heart. You know, Scott, we prayed, in fact, this morning for one particular prayer request, and now that we're meeting together to just read from our listener letters, number one on the list was from Jamie, who lives in Kansas. And friends, he had contacted us several days ago, but here's what he wrote. I often listen to Wisdom for the Heart as I take my kids to school. I'm always encouraged by the insight and the truths of Scripture that are presented to the listeners. Earlier this year, my daughter lost a good friend in a traffic accident, a car accident. Obviously, it's been a devastating time for this young girl's family and also for many of her high school classmates. So I ordered copies of your booklet, The Healer of Broken Hearts. I gave them out with the hope that it would be encouragement to them and might even lead a hurting soul to Christ. Well, today we got an update, Scott, that one of these teenagers has indeed come to faith in Jesus Christ. And so we rejoice in that. And Jamie, if you're listening, we're continuing to pray for you.
And Stephen, I know that you have more letters, but I want to interrupt you because, friends, we would love to be able to pray for you by name if you have a specific request. And you can call us at 866-48-BIBLE.
Scott, here's a note from Christine, who is a web listener, so we didn't get the city or the state. But she writes, I am struggling with surrendering to God's will that allowed a third financial reversal that has wiped out half my small retirement and all of our savings. None of this was my doing, and I've also had to struggle through relocating 15 years ago far from family and friends to a place with lower cost of living. It's not been an easy adjustment. The latest financial crisis left me angry at God, and I was feeling sorry for myself. Then I turned on Wisdom for the Heart, went to the website and listened, and I heard your message on 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 7, and it was so convicting and yet so encouraging at the same time. This was definitely God's intervention in my pity party. I downloaded the PDF study guide and manuscript to share with our home study group and with the women's group that I'm part of. Well, if I lived in Cary, North Carolina, I would be a faithful member of the local body there where you pastor. But I am looking forward to worshiping in the city of God with you all. Blessings on you. Well, thank you, Christine, for that kind note.
We were so glad to hear from you. We are out of time, but if we can help you in any way today, call us at 866-48-BIBLE and join us tomorrow for more Wisdom for the Heart.